Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today, I am welcoming back Mary Kay Miller and Jeff Slater from Kaleidoscope. Mary Kay and Jeff work closely with orthodontic practices to help them navigate an increasingly complex marketing and digital landscape. As AI continues to reshape how patients search for and choose providers, practices are being evaluated in entirely new ways, often without realizing it. In this episode, we're breaking down how AI is changing referral patterns, what practices may be missing, and what steps doctors should be taking now to stay visible and competitive. So let's get started. This episode was brought to you by ADEC. Are you thinking about opening an orthodontic practice? I know, it's a big decision, but saving 25% on the ADEC equipment you need to get started, that's an easy one. Because ADEC has a special program called Smart Start, designed to help you launch your first practice. You get up to 25% off your ADEC orthodontic equipment and furniture. You also get complimentary services to help you run and grow your business. And my favorite part, access to the Smart Start pricing for 2 whole years after you open your doors. That gives you flexibility to add more chairs as your cash flow grows. It's pretty smart. As an orthodontist, you care about getting all the little details right, and ADEC really got it right with this program. So if starting off with a big savings on ADEC equipment sounds good to you, the ADEC Smart Start is definitely worth a closer look. Just follow the link in the show notes to learn more. Mary Kay, Jeff, welcome back to Hey Docs. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always a pleasure being on your show.
Great to be back.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. In the event that somebody has not listened to a previous podcast that either one of you have done with us, would you guys mind giving a quick refresher on Kaleidoscope, what you guys are up to today for our listeners? And I hear that there is something new and exciting that's launching. And I want you guys to talk about the new AI product that you guys are going to be bringing to market here at AAO 2026.
Thank you, Jill. We're really excited. And for those that don't know me, I originally started as Orthopreneur Internet Marketing over about 20 years ago. And I actually brought SEO to the orthodontic industry. And then in 2021, I merged with Kaleidoscope and am now currently the owner of Kaleidoscope. But about 18 months ago, I started seeing the shift with AI, and it especially became apparent last January. And one of the advantages of being a boutique web agency is I could pivot really quickly on what was going on. With a lot of research and everything, we have developed an AI product. It's actually a system that will help orthodontic practices be found under the new AI when someone is asking a question, which traditional SEO is all about keywords and ranking and reviews in the Google Business Profile area, but AI is completely different, and it's in the question and answer format. This program that we've developed is not only targeting SEO, which Kaleidoscope has always been great with, but now we're adding this new umbrella on our product with an AAO AI service.
Yeah, and I would say, MK, to put a finer point on that, it's not a future prediction. We're seeing this already. We're seeing this now in a lot of our client markets. And prospective patients and the parents of prospective patients are getting more comfortable with AI. A larger segment of the new patient base is skipping Google entirely. Or they're using Google but getting an AI overview. So they're never making it down to the search results that we typically think of with local search, the 10 blue links, the 3-pack or the local pack. So we built KAL, K-A-L, that's this system to help orthodontic practices meet these criteria, because the problem is most orthodontic websites were built for human visitors, built to impress people. So beautiful colors, big photos, we create stunning smiles, marketing fluff, the why choose us or what sets us apart. The 2-second emotional response when I go to this site, is it warm and engaging and modern, or is it cold and outdated? That's how we look at these designs, marrying the art of the visual part with the science of the optimization. It sounds a little bit like orthodontic treatment, the art and the science converging together. AI and the machines, they don't look at sites the same way. They're not admiring photography and color palettes and branding. AI wants data. So when we talk about being AI ready and what does the KAL system do to help orthodontic practices get AI ready, it's that structural depth, it's those trust signals, those authority signals, that meat on the bone that AI really cares about. And most orthodontic sites simply were not built for these criteria.
Yeah. It's such a, I feel like it's the Wild West, right? Like we've just got so much change and so much happening. And just even thinking back to how websites have been done in the past to where they're at now, to even in the last 3 months on how things have changed so much. So I want to dive in because I know this conversation is going to really revolve around AI right now and just the changes that we've been seeing. And Jeff, I want you to talk a little bit about the difference in AI and what it recommends versus ranks, and just what does that actually mean when we're thinking about that as a practice owner and we're thinking about that with our websites. And I think there's maybe even some conflicting information out there, messaging out there, and I think some of it just has to do with things are moving so quickly. But
Sure.
what, like, how do we decipher through all of this as practice owners and say, okay, where do I put my focus?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you think about how Google kind of trained all of us over the last 20 years or so. You type in a few keywords, you get a list, 10 blue links, and you start clicking around. You visit one page, go back, visit another page. You wanted to rank as an orthodontic practice, ideally in the top 3, but even if you were in the top 10 on page 1, you still had another chance to win, right? You still had a shot, even if you weren't at the top. And people were more conditioned that they were going to have to do some of the legwork, click around a little bit, look at a few pages, and come to a decision on their own. But they'd have to get to that point. With AI, these recommendations come up. It's not so much rankings as it is, these are the recommendations based on your question and your location. There's usually 3 or 4, maybe 5. I have never seen anywhere near close to 10. So you've already shrunk your opportunity by half at minimum. And a lot of these AI overviews or a lot of these ChatGPT responses might only say 2 or 3 orthodontic practices, depending on the question. And the way that we now treat AI, we assume it's done the research. It's done what would have been us clicking around to 3 or 4 websites in and out of a few pages. We now trust that AI has done that for us. So when those recommendations come back, that's the end of the list, right? Very few people are going to then say, okay, what else is available? Or, okay, who else is in my area? They're trusting that AI has recommended the best 2 or 3 or 4, and the door's closed behind them. So this is very an inflection point here, like Mary Kay mentioned, where the first practices to adopt SEO in 2007, 8, 9, they grabbed top rankings, and it was very hard to displace them over the next 10, 15 years. We're seeing similar trends now with AI, where all it takes is one practice to opt in and start optimizing and hitting these signals. They're going to earn the trust first. And once you're out of the gate, it can sometimes be very hard to leapfrog or catch that practice that is the early adopter.
Yeah. Gosh, it's again, it just feels like so much to be thinking about when you're like, I just got it figured out with the clicks and now, or with this, and now I got to be thinking of totally switching gears, maybe even in the way my practice was designed in all of that, or my website was designed, or my marketing strategy was originally thought about till now. So I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit about, because I'm sure there's lots of docs that are like, I just don't know what to do. Where do I go? How do I find out? How can I check to just see where I stand with all of this? Are there some products or things that are being developed or are developed where a practice owner can say, hey, I just need a health check here to know
Yeah.
how I'm doing?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to answer that. And selfishly, I would say that KAL, the system that we've built, we run an audit over 30 points on our checklist. We grade it across a range of outcomes from critical, being very much in danger, through at risk, to then being either in development or AI ready. So we are looking at over 30 different signals or criteria in the KAL system, and anyone listening can get a free audit through us. But also what you can do at the DIY, like if I'm just a doctor and I have 10 minutes and I just want to do a quick snapshot, how am I looking for these AI criteria? The first thing I would say is very straightforward and simple is open ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever AI program. Most of us have one or two of these apps on our phone by now. If you don't, you can just go to chatgpt.com or pick any other one. I'm not promoting them. I have no relationship with any of these AI apps and tools, but test your own area. Go to one of these apps and just type in who's the best orthodontist for Invisalign in, and then put your city. Or if you're not big on Invisalign, who's the best orthodontic practice for braces in my town, and just see what comes back. And if you are showing up in those first 3 or 4 recommendations, that is encouraging. And I don't want to maybe create a false sense of security there. So we'll probably get into that in a few minutes, but just run the test. Step one, open an AI program, do a search or two for orthodontists and braces with your town name, more conversational. You can also test this on Google. If you're typing in who's the best orthodontist in a city with a question mark, you'll probably get an AI overview. Not all the time, but most of the time you will see an AI overview with some recommendations, and you'll see some of the details, the specialties, the qualifications, that AI is pulling to try and determine who's the best fit for that question. And some of the apps will also say, I noticed you asked best. I can't tell you who's the best. I need to know more about your needs and your location, and let me help you figure this out. People are trusting these responses more because sometimes AI even admits, I'm not giving you the whole picture here. I'm giving you a quick recommendation. So step one, open an AI program and test yourself. And then step two would be to Google your own practice. Google your name, because you want to see consistency of information, your business name, your street address, your phone number, your website URL that's on your Google business profile, your Yelp listing, health grades, Apple Maps. Maybe just do the first page. You don't have to go crazy for hours on this, but Google your business name. I would also say Google your doctor name as well, because sometimes the practitioner will have a different set of results than the practice or the business entity. So it's important to test both, but see what comes up on page one and just look for consistency across your different profiles. Because what happens is if AI sees a different phone number on Yelp or a different suite number on Google, or one business name is the doctor name and the other business name is Superior Orthodontics or whatever it might be, those inconsistencies erode your trust, and that leaves you out of the recommendation. If AI can't trust your business, it will not recommend you in the results. So that would be step two of the self audit, is to see what's showing up on your own results. What's your consistency, your digital footprint? What does that look like? And then the third piece, check out your own website. You can do a mini audit on your website. Does it have expertise? Is there enough written content? We mentioned most orthodontic sites are built to be visually and aesthetically pleasing. There is a major issue right now in our industry, and this is really across most sites that were built 2, 3, 4 years ago and beyond. There's not enough written text, not enough content, not enough signals and authority for AI to credibly trust what you do, how you do it, whose problems you solve, and everything else that goes with it. So you can go to your Invisalign page or your types of braces page. Is it descriptive? Does it mention specific technologies? Does it mention specific appliances? Does it have enough meat on the bone for AI to credibly trust that you're doing what you say you will do? Or is your website mostly what we would call fluff, marketing fluff, right? The rose colored glasses about the difference that you make. It's still important to have that messaging for human users. It's not that we're going full machine, but you need to meet both expectations, regular people and human visitors to your site, but also these AI programs. They are trained to look for so much more structural depth and proof of expertise than we're used to putting on a website. So that's one of the fundamental shifts, is that you need more written copy. You need more code under the hood that AI is trained to look for, just essentially like little breadcrumbs. You're guiding AI to the thing that it wants by A, having the information, and then B, having the information structured and formatted and organized in the way that AI wants. So I could tell you straight up, if your website's more than 5 years old, you probably won't have any of this. If your website's built in the last 3 years, you'll probably have some. If you really went heavy on the visual and you have very little written content on your website, you're probably going to show up red for a lot of these AI readiness criteria when it comes to that content and proof of expertise and structural depth.
Yeah, it again feels it's tough, right? Because for some docs, you're just like, man, I just put all this energy into this beautiful website, which was the standard a couple years ago. And we all know we went away from all this heavy content and all of these pages that were just built with a lot to read to I'm going to keep it minimalistic and it's going to be beautiful and my colors are all going to look great too. It definitely feels, I don't know, I think it's just, it feels a little confusing right now.
One of the things, Jill, we don't always have to rebuild the website. A lot with our sites, if a site is 3 to 4 years old, we can go in and rewrite all the content to meet AI specs. So if they have a site design that they really like, we may have to make some adjustments on the home page to get some more information, because a lot of these minimalistic sites are missing some of the criteria that AI wants on the home page. We're not always talking about rebuilding. With all our clients that we've been talking to, I would have to say 70% of them are just rewritten content and adding code. And so it depends upon what they have, how we do this. It isn't always, okay, I got to rebuild again. That isn't always the criteria there.
And I've got to believe that one of the things that I've always loved about you guys is you've always built with SEO at the forefront from the beginning. The website wasn't just built without SEO in mind. And I've got to believe that even with all of this, there is a component that the SEO is still a foundational building block to a really strong website and then into your marketing campaigns and whatnot. And as I'm thinking about this, and Jeff, I think you talked about this a lot in just a minute ago, but I'm sure there's a doctor right now that's probably listening and pausing and typing their name in and going through this. And if their name does come up, I just want to circle back around to this. And they're like, I'm actually doing pretty darn good. I just want to hear one more time. Is this what, are they good to just be like, we're good? Or do we need to really say, hey, that's great, but you need to, there are still additional things that need to be done there?
Yeah, absolutely. It may feel like good news, and it is good news. If you're showing up now, that's excellent. We'll take it. It could be a false sense of security or a little bit of a dangerous misconception if you're showing now by default, where your competitors also don't have these signals in place yet. And so AI is working with a lack of information and a lack of signals. So you're winning this, I don't know, battle of less than. So all of the competitors and all the practices in your area have not done this yet. So you happen to be winning out, but it's not necessarily because you have more of these trust signals or you're superior in any real meaningful way. It could be a house of cards. It could come down very quickly. All it takes is one competitor to start investing in this and cleaning up their signals and building their trust and their authority and their structural depth on their site. And now you've been leapfrogged and that gap will only widen. So you definitely don't want to feel like, oh, I showed up here today, that's going to be sustainable, I don't have to take any additional action items. So the ones that will start investing today and completing their digital footprint, I should say expanding it. I don't want to say completing it because nothing's ever really done. Websites are never really finished. They're always a work in progress. Your Google reviews, you're never done getting reviews. You're always back on the horse the next month. So it's a continuous work in progress. But right now we're in that early adopter phase. So the practices that get on this now will have a decided advantage. It's hard to predict how long that advantage will last. That's one thing with our industry, specifically coming on podcasts to talk about AI. What I'm saying now could sound crazy in 6 months. It could be like, what was that guy talking about? There's definitely an element of unknown, but what Kaleidoscope has done with this KAL system is brought in most, if not all, of what is known and incorporated it into this system so that we're hitting all of these criteria, all of these checkpoints for content and navigation and these signals both on-site and off-site, because there is no one magic wand, silver bullet, do this one thing and you're golden. It's a combination of many signals and many other criteria, both on the site and off the site. And that's why we put this system together, because it will make your head spin. If you're just a doctor trying to run a business and take care of patients and then figure all of this out, it's a very daunting task. So yeah, if you look good today, thumbs up, but let's also bear down and make sure that we're putting the rest of the foundation in place so that you retain that place, that recommendation, that spot in the AI overview or in the ChatGPT response. And one other quick thing is, depending on the program you use and whether it's a paid service or if it's a free version, you've probably seen this in your own tests. You can enter the same prompt into ChatGPT multiple times and not get the same answer. So it's not as though this is set in stone and locked in place. A lot of this is fluid, a lot of this is dynamic, and that's why recency signals are now more important than ever. Things like Google reviews and blog posts and fresh content that AI can actually see and date and understand. Not only is this helpful and relevant, it's also recent and modern to this point that we know that it's not outdated. So there is a lot that goes into it. But I know Mary Kay's probably got something to jump in and add there too.
One of the things that I did want to add was the fact that many of our clients did do extremely well on AI. And when we're meeting with them talking about AI and we show them the audit where they're at risk or critical, and they're going, but I'm there. I checked before I talked to you. It was a concern for many of them until we explained exactly what all of this meant. And our sites, because they had such good SEO on them, were always showing up on AI. But the reports in the audit show that the coding that was needed for AI, none of them had it. Like Jeff said, if someone else is starting to add all of these features that is required for AI to read it, it's going to push them out of the block. And in some areas, as they're actually looking in it, practices that weren't even showing up in the maps or showing in Google Organic were showing in AI because they had better content. They didn't rank well on Google, but they did rank well on AI. And our goal was to make sure you rank well both on Google and AI.
Yeah, yeah. And now a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Hey docs, if your new patient follow-up depends on someone remembering, it's leaking revenue. Greyfinch automates new patient follow-up, texts and emails go out automatically, and your treatment coordinator just checks their tasks list to see what needs a quick call or a more personalized message. That is one of the many reasons I recommend everyone take a look at Greyfinch. It isn't just a follow-up tool, it's a complete practice management software built to help you grow and scale. Stop leaking revenue and get $500 off your startup fee with the Jill Allen special at greyfinch.com/Jill Allen. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at GetSmileSuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite because every smile deserves a suite of excellence. And I know that this is like, it's ever evolving, right? To your point, Jeff, what we're talking about now could be irrelevant a year from now because meaning not that this is going away. It's just, it will have evolved so much even past where we're at right now. And I've got so many questions that pop through my mind because I'm also a business owner and it affects all of us. It's not just orthodontists that are listening. It's not just dentists that are listening. It's every business owner is going to have to be dealing with this and how AI is going to affect their website and their marketing campaigns and whatnot. And one of the questions that kind of keeps popping into my mind is, and especially to something you said, Jeff, is as AI is looking for when it decides who to recommend to, as people get better at backfilling in the information and become more AI, what's the word I'm looking for, where the AI optimized, we'll say, what is AI looking for right now? And what do you think we're going to have to be paying attention to? And you may not have this crystal ball to say, Jill, this is for sure what it is, but there's got to be patterns that are leading us towards things that we're going to have to be really thinking about as AI just continues to really take hold of how our searches are being driven.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to throw some acronyms out. We've been using AEO and GEO. And I would just reiterate that SEO, traditional search engine optimization, is not dead. It's not that there's no longer SEO. We're adding layers on top of it. And we're learning through trial and error, research and testing our client sites, and also looking at competitor sites in our own client markets and just comparing who's showing up where and trying to reverse engineer how that's being determined. We're going to nerd out a little bit right now. We'll get a little bit technical. One of the first places that AI looks that regular people don't notice is in the code. So there's a few types of code. One is called schema, which is not new necessarily. Schema's been around for years. Mostly up until recently, it's been for location signals, geo-targeting, latitude, longitude, stuff like that. There are newer types of schema, specifically for dental and for the healthcare field, and we want to deploy these new types of schema where it makes sense, not just going every type of schema we can deploy. We want to be thoughtful about how we're putting this on our sites, but AI is looking in the code for schema and also something called structured data, where you can organize your content based on the subject, whether it's reviews and testimonials or products and services and treatment options, or it's financing and insurance. You can leave breadcrumbs or trails in the code for AI to shortcut to the thing that it wants. So that's a big piece of this, is human users won't know what type of schema you've got on your site, but AI does. So that's another layer under the hood that we can add when we talk about AI readiness and AI optimization. The code is a piece of that. Another is NAP, the name, address, phone number, which that's been around for probably a decade or more now. I think website URL should be in there. So I would campaign to change NAP to pawn, phone, address, website, and name, but that's backwards. And no one will ever sign up to join me on that tree stump. But name, address, phone number, and website URL, if I'm really nitpicking it. But the NAP, the name, address, phone number, that's our consistency across other listings and databases. So not just Google and our website, that's Yelp and Healthgrades and Apple Maps. And there are other high authority sites, we call them aggregators, that regular people don't know necessarily about, Data Axle or Foursquare, but AI crawls them and Google crawls them. Another one is Birdeye. Birdeye was one of many review programs. We're seeing Birdeye show up a lot in ChatGPT. I think because Birdeye wants to scrape Google reviews for information, but it doesn't want to cite Google in its results. So ChatGPT will cite Birdeye instead and still get the same information. Just another example where AI has the ability to crawl a lot of these databases and check a lot of your listings, and having that consistency leads to trust. And trust is really what comes down to visibility, right? Where AI wants to figure out which business can I trust. So your consistency of your business information is another major trust signal. From there, I would go to a third one, which is content, and specifically expertise content, not just writing for the sake of writing. In the past, we've done how we change lives or the differences that we make or the family oriented atmosphere. Again, still important messaging and positioning for your human users, not as relevant for AI. AI is looking for technologies, specific clinical approaches, dedicated FAQs or frequently asked questions, doctor credentials, board certifications, case explanations, before and afters. There's a lot that AI can consume very quickly, especially if it's organized properly. If you just throw a bunch of this stuff on your website and it's not properly organized and formatted and coded, it will not have the same impact. It has to be done in a thoughtful way. You can't just throw everything on there because AI doesn't want to spend all the time figuring that out. AI wants you to guide it to the answer. If it's a jumbled mess, AI will go to the next site. That's a more clean, relevant example. We've seen board certification matters a lot more to ChatGPT than it ever did to Google. Because when these AI programs are looking for which doctor has more expertise or greater amount of training, they've learned that board certification highlights that. Google never really seemed to use it as a ranking signal. ChatGPT and these other AI programs, they do. So doctors listening, if you're board certified, make sure that's front and center. Make sure that's easily found and crawled and that it's stated very cleanly on your homepage and your bio page. Another piece we talk about is those authority signals, those third-party authority signals, which are professional directories, or if you have any published papers, or if you've done articles or guest posts, not just your own Google reviews, cross-referencing your expertise across other sites on the internet, right? So AI wants to, again, connect those dots to establish your authority and your expertise, not just what you're saying about yourself on your website. but is that expertise backed up elsewhere on third-party sites around the internet? And then the last piece, not to get too technical here, but your architecture, your website structure. You'll hear me and also Mary Kay will say structural depth, which means can AI determine and trust that you have the right solutions, you're solving problems for these orthodontic patients, you're providing a good experience, you have the clinical expertise, you have the bedside manner, you have the family oriented, whatever it may be about your practice. AI needs to crawl your site and understand the hierarchy and not have to dig for the thing that it wants. It's something called crawl budget. And it's not that AI can't go through every corner of your site, but think how much server load that's going to require. So AI definitely has some restrictors in place, kind of like the governor on a golf cart. When you're trying to go 50 down a hill, it won't let you because it's got the governor. That AI has similar protections in place so that it's not crawling every single site in a city 35 pages deep, right? It's doing a cursory scan to try and figure out what can I pull quickly that's relevant to this search. I know it's a long-winded answer, but if we wanted to get technical, that'll give you a good start.
Yeah, no, I think it's so much good information, and just breaking it down, I think just helps us have an understanding of really how important all of this is. And it isn't like we're throwing the old views out and now we're jumping into something new. It's all just, it seems like just this building foundation of it's evolving, and we have to evolve. We have to evolve as well. And just thinking about the citation component of it, gosh, I can think way back in the day when all we had to worry about, and I'm really going to date myself, is how did we come up in yellow pages? You know what I mean? We came out good, so we're good.
Yeah.
And now you think about, there are sites that are tracking us that we don't even know our information is out on unless somebody is paying attention to that for us, which could positively or negatively impact us depending upon how that information is being constructed. So I want to get back to, you've dropped the name a couple times now. I want to talk a little bit about KAL, KAL, and what a practice actually gets from, you guys said, I think you dropped that you're going to be doing some free audits for people if they want to do that. Tell us about what that actually means and what that's going to look like if somebody is like, I'm intrigued. I think I've heard enough that I at least need to put some energy into where's my website at? How am I doing? What do I need to be paying attention to?
So KAL actually is Kaleidoscope AI Liaison. Jeff actually came up with this name. I thought it was great. And I go, perfect. And if you're going to the AAO, you're going to meet KAL. I love KAL. But KAL is not a mascot. KAL is a system with all of this. And it starts out with a complimentary audit. And there's actually 32 checkpoints that we put every website through. And it's not just the website, it's your Google business profile. It goes out and checks all your reviews everywhere. And something that's very unique is we also check your competitors in the whole mix. How do you rank, or how are you compared to your competitors in the area? And then we give it a score out of 0 to 100 points. There are a few points sometimes that the AI can't read, but we've developed this audit so that we get a good idea and we can tell the client, okay, you're at risk, and why are you at risk? When it gives the overview, great practice, it'll go through everything it can scrape off the internet. Whereas Google just looks at its content, AI looks at everything. And we give them the general overview, and then we give them the gaps. These are the things that are missing. And it could be with most of the time, it's because the code is not on the sites. Now, we've audited over 100 sites at this point in time. The audit was in its current state completed about 60 days ago. And it was a real reality when our sites weren't scoring that well with all of them. Now, with the clients that have said, okay, now fix it, and now you get a score of maybe 40, and now they're up to 87. We know those checkpoints that we need to address with the clients. And the goal is, when all is said and done, is that we want AI to recommend you. And obviously, there's no guarantee that AI is going to recommend you, but we do know that if you have this code under the hood, the change in the copy, all of these different things that Jeff has been talking about, because we're already seeing it in the reports that the traffic is going up with all of this. And then there's different aspects of it that there's too much to go into it here on this program, but either you can go to if you're going to the AAO, we can discuss it more at the booth, or you ask for a complimentary audit, we can go in this with you. But this was built for orthodontists and the orthodontist industry, because orthodontics has different aspects. And this particular audit is built to evaluate orthodontists. We don't want to evaluate an orthodontist against a general dentist, or it isn't one of these automated type audits where it'll audit any type of website, because the information coming out of it isn't going to be correct. It is designed for orthodontists. And then what we do is we determine what you need. As I mentioned, we can either redo the copy. All of them need to have code put under the hood. Now, as I was going to the forums, which I'm always updating myself, it's like my education. Almost every website in the United States, it doesn't matter what industry it is, needs to be redone for AI. We're just focusing on what we know right now for the orthodontic industry. And we built it for a market that we know best. I've been in this industry for 20 years. We know SEO. Jeff's been with me for years. We knew that now was the time to jump in and give doctors an opportunity, especially when the climate for orthodontics hasn't been the greatest in the last couple of years in some areas of the country. This is a great way that you could set yourself apart from other practices in the area to bring in more new patients. Especially, actually yesterday I was reading where the CEO of Google came on and he was being interviewed, and it's quite obvious that these personal AI agents, they're coming soon, sooner than we thought. Samsung already came out with a phone with it on there. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, I want you to research all the orthodontists in the area and give me your best, who you think is best. They're not even going to go to Google. Now, Google's not going away, but then they'll get the information. They may go on Google, but it's changing, and it's changing faster than I ever thought it would.
And these agents are interesting because, sorry, Jill, but the agentic piece is interesting because we're still thinking AI, you enter a prompt, you get an answer. Hey, AI, help me write an email. Help me do some captions for my social media. You enter in a specific prompt, you get back a deliverable. AI is already moving to these almost autonomous agents where you can provide instructions and context and they can perform tasks in the background within that context is key. And I would say anyone listening, if you're just dabbling in AI prompts trying to figure out how to get more out of AI, it's all in the prompt. So the more context you're providing in that prompt, the more you're going to like with any design brief, right? The more context and examples and information you provide, the more you're going to whatever comes back. But it's an interesting shift where we're still getting used to prompt based AI interaction. We say one thing, we get one thing back. It's already moving well beyond that into this agentic arena where we can now train and set up AI agents to be running in the background, and we can deploy these for our clients to be doing routine competitor research and looking for gaps in their content. And where is a competitor stronger in explaining expertise than our client? We can identify that, and then we can close that gap by rewriting or adding or tweaking to the site. So there's so much information that's available to us.
The other point of this is part of our service will be that we will be rerunning these audits. You just don't set it and forget it. You got to be rerunning these audits every 6 months because things are going to change. Your competitors are going to change. New competitors are coming in. You need to know these types of things. So this is all part of the system.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think there's just so much to learn from this. And I want to circle back around to one more thing that you said earlier about, and we were talking a little bit about SEO. And I just want everyone to hear that this is not just SEO repackaged, right? This is something that is a build on to what you still have to be paying attention to. Am I correct in what I'm hearing here, that these are not two different things going on or one replacing the other, as I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair question. And we hear it a lot. Traditional SEO, search engine optimization, it's primed to get a search engine to rank you or show you in a list. That's the goal, is to rank based on those SEO signals to a list from a search engine. AI visibility is optimizing you for presence revolving on recommendations. The goal is to be chosen, the goal is to be recommended, the goal is to be trusted. So a lot more of these signals are factored in very quickly with the AI recommendations. And with SEO, traditionally, for example, you want to rank for Invisalign. So you'd have the Invisalign keyword on your homepage, your Invisalign page, you have keyword density. So we need the word Invisalign on this page 15 times so that Google sees this repetition. Google sees this keyword density. So this is how we show expertise in the old world of SEO, is just repetition, right? It was quantity over quality. Whoever had the most keywords, whoever had the most links, these sites would rank the best. AI is much more discerning, and it's quality over quantity. It's not how much do you have, it's how good and how relevant and how trustworthy and how fresh is that content that AI can then confidently recommend you in this overview. So they're complementary of one another, and I've said it a lot. SEO is not dead. Foundational SEO is still very important. If you don't have good architecture and structure and download speed and mobile friendliness, a lot of this AI criteria becomes moot because your site isn't crawlable, your site is not user friendly. So foundational SEO is still very much part of the equation. We are now introducing these layers of answer engine optimization and generative engine optimization and meeting these criteria with the KAL system to basically prime an orthodontic practice for digital visibility. It's not just rankings, it's digital visibility across a number of AI driven apps and tools, including but not limited to Google and ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's great.
And another big one that we've been seeing for almost a year now is Reddit, especially if you have a practice that's close to a college. The college 18 to 30s are on Reddit. I've had many doctors tell me that they've been getting, how come I'm getting referrals from Reddit? Well, how is this happening? And it's because the SEO is there when they're putting the information in. And now when we put the schema and the AI component on top of it, it solidifies it even more.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I think people thought it was crazy that you need to be paying attention to LinkedIn. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
exactly.
now it's again, it's just crazy. These personal bots or are the AI, whoever. And I think we're all getting more and more familiar with just using it in our own lives, even if it's just I'm lazy and I don't want to go through all the listings. Tell me who I should go buy my favorite pair of shoes from. Like it's
Exactly.
Right.
And we do that. We do. Who can I get the best price on these designer shoes?
Yeah, I don't want to have to go spend the time looking at all this. Why not let somebody else do that brain work so I can maybe get another 5 minutes back to go do something else? This is so exciting. And one of the things I'm just going to have to say to you guys is, MK, I appreciate what you have done in this space. And Jeff, you stepping in right along beside her here. But I appreciate that you guys, from a marketing company, are still pivoting and you're still stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, we're just not going to hold back and we'll see what happens because this has been good for a long time. And you're doing the hard work to figure it out, to stay on the forefront of what we need in our industry. And I think that's a huge deal, especially as myself being so involved in wanting to make sure that orthodontic practices are successful. And we have to look at all the levers out there, and we just cannot sit back on our laurels and be like, yeah, I've done enough. I've paid enough. I've done enough. I worked hard enough, whatever. I mean, we just have to be constantly pushing. And so I really appreciate that you guys are bringing this to the forefront and saying, hey, it's not just enough to have good SEO. It's not just enough to have some good Google reviews out there. We've got to look at this new frontier and be bringing this into our repertoire of things that we need to be paying attention to.
And because we know you specialize in startups, AI is a definite leg up to a startup, because if their content is written right and this schema is on there and they're competing against established practices that have been there for years but are not set up for AI, and as more people continue to use AI, they can get a much better presence than they ever would have with standard SEO and the regular 3-pack on the maps and the organic. When this is done, and we also can expand it to surrounding areas, unlike we were ever able to do with once Google kind of narrowed down that geo-targeting, now we actually can expand it with AI. And it's great for a startup or a transitioning practice that has to change a name. It's much easier. AI is much more accepting of a transition name than Google ever was. You still need to get Google to transition the name, but I find that when we're indexing information, Google still takes about 30 to 60 days. AI is 72 hours.
Wow.
You make a change and bang, it's there. It's very interesting how all this works now.
Yeah. Guys, you know that we could all sit here. This is all stuff that's exciting. I love this. I want to just keep going. Tell me more. Tell me more. But like with anything, all good things must come to an end. So let's talk a little bit about, for anybody who's listening now and maybe wants to act on this, they want to find out a little bit more. They want to be in front of the curve of where things are going. What's going to be the best way to contact you guys, to reach out, maybe have that demo done? What do they need to do?
Yeah, no, great question. And thank you for asking. It's KAL AI. So kaldental.ai is where this is going to live. For the audit, it's kaldental.ai. And you can request that free audit, and the Kaleidoscope team will run it. You'll probably end up meeting with me or potentially Mary Kay on a Zoom call to run through the findings, the action items, and then we'll lay out the game plan of saying, here's how we are going to sequentially improve what you have. And as I mentioned, there may not be a silver bullet type thing, like one quick fix. I don't want to kind of misrepresent what this is. This is going to be a system that we will implement for practices, starting with that audit. So head over to kaldental.ai/audit and we'll get you started there. And it's a little bit like when Google reviews weren't that popular yet, and some practices really went after it and they got a few hundred reviews, and boom, they stick out like a sore thumb. And that gap in many cases stayed for years. Some practices still have a couple hundred review lead on their competitors who have been trying to catch up, but they started late and they've never been able to make up that ground or close that gap. So we may see history repeat itself with this AI optimization, because right now, in the vast majority of local orthodontic markets, AI visibility is largely uncontested. Many practices are not doing this. It's the old, you don't know what you don't know till you know it. And Kaleidoscope's out there with our blog posts and our YouTube videos and our Instagram, and we're trying to shout from the rooftops, this is what you need to know, this is what you need to do. But we are in that early adopter phase right now, and there is a huge benefit to beating your competitors to this implementation, because like we said earlier, it only takes one competitor to get there before you, and you may not be able to leapfrog them or close that gap. So for anybody who wants to know where they stand, to say, hey Jeff, Mary Kay, where do we start? Go to kaldental.ai. We'll run the audit. Our team will score your digital presence. We'll meet you on Zoom and we'll go from there. We'll, at the very least, you will come away from that interaction with a wealth of information. We tend to probably share more expertise for free than maybe we should, but we believe the industry should know this. We believe that we will pay it forward, and it has served Mary Kay very well. And I learned that straight from her. Just be honest and straightforward, and maybe you gave a little too much information. So what? They'll probably come back eventually. So that's where we're at right now. And I would say anyone listening to this, your market's probably still open. That opportunity is probably still there. And once one of your competitors makes that decision that they're going to lock this in, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to unlock if they get there before you.
And the other thing that everyone should understand, this audit isn't something that you can just, it runs in a minute and spits out a piece of paper. Actually, on AI, it takes over 20 minutes, and someone has to sit there because it asks questions back about the practice. This is how customized these audits are. This is why it's not something, okay, you fill out your name and you get the audit back in an email in 10 minutes. It's much more extensive than that. And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And we need a good baseline. And we set up an audit that will give us what we need.
Yeah.
And then we'll meet you on Zoom to explain it, translate it. So we're not just going to give you a document, hey, good luck, it's been fun. We're going to actually meet on Zoom to look through it, allow you to ask questions. It's not just, okay, good luck, see you later, bye, have fun storming the castle. We're going to do some hand holding and do some educating through that process. So thank you, Joe. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thanks again, guys. You know how I like to finish this up. I'm gonna ask just a few speed round questions. How about I'll ask each of you a couple question or two. How about that? MK, I'm going to start with you first. What is the most unexpected lesson you've learned so far in your career?
I have no control over anything.
That's a good
You
one.
can try, but I have no control over anything.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jeff, let me ask you the next one. What is one business trend you think more people should be paying attention to?
Does it count as a business trend to have AI analyze your role in your task list and figure out where you can get more efficient? That's a business trend of AI not replacing people, but amplifying people. And it's not that AI is coming for your job, it's another human who knows how to use AI while you're ignoring it is coming for your job. So I think that would be a business trend that I think we can jump on early. And we talked about it for orthodontic sites, but it applies professionally as well. Whoever leverages the tools first to amplify themselves can be the early adopter and have that advantage.
Yeah, for sure, guys. I'm gonna leave it there because I think this has been such a great episode. So thank you so much for being on Hey Docs again and keeping us on the cutting edge of what is happening out there with our marketing strategy. Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Jill, for making arrangements for this, and hope to see you soon. We will at the AO.
Yep.
Booth
Yep,
1115
exactly.
for Kaleidoscope. Okay. Jill, what's your booth number at the AAO? Kaleidoscope's in 1115 in Orlando. Where are you at?
I don't know.
Don't know. Put her on the spot.
I don't either, Jill.
We'll put the booth number in post.
I'm sure
It's
we'll
fine.
put it in the show notes. Yeah.
We'll get it. No
I follow
worries.
them.
Jill doesn't have to
That's
know.
so
Jill has
funny.
people that
Well,
know
guys,
for her. That's all good.
Yeah, I just show up where they tell me. Which aisle to walk down is where I go. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You've earned the right.
Thank you.
Take care.